Welcome, everyone. Today, we are exploring the work of Thomas Erikson, a Swedish behavioral expert and the best-selling author of the global phenomenon Surrounded by Idiots. Erikson has consulted for major organizations like IKEA and Coca-Cola, and in this book, he tackles a universal human experience, adversity. The key premise we will discuss is that life is what it is. Success is less about what happens to you and more about what you make of it. We're moving from feeling overwhelmed to taking control. We often hear that knowledge is power, but Erikson argues this is a deceptive illusion. The world is full of well-educated people who lack power over their immediate environment because knowledge is only potential power. It only counts if you actually do something with it. This leads to the rule of responsibility. You either create or allow everything that happens to you. To avoid perpetual setbacks, you must accept that you govern your own life, including everything you choose not to do. Erikson uses a powerful metaphor of two locations, Laterville and Winnerville. Laterville is the overpopulated graveyard of good intentions, where people choose comfort over development, constantly saying, "I'll do it later," while dreams remain unexecuted. In contrast, Winnerville is where people take 100% responsibility. They build bridges out of the bricks life throws at them, celebrate the success of others, and take immediate action on their goals. To move to Winnerville, you must sell your house in Laterville. Understanding the 4 development phases helps us see why we quit. We usually start with high will, low skill in the enthusiastic amateur phase. However, we soon hit the danger zone, low will, low skill. This is where the task is harder than expected, motivation crashes, and most people abandon their goals to return to Laterville. Success requires pushing through to low will, high skill until you reach mastery, where behavior becomes automatic and momentum becomes self-sustaining. Self-awareness is our greatest tool for handling adversity. Erikson uses the DISC model to show that different behavioral profiles react to setbacks uniquely. What one person considers a catastrophe, another sees as an exciting challenge. Red types focus on approaching problems and challenges directly. Yellows focus on how they can influence or cooperate with others to move forward. Greens often struggle with how they react to change, while blues focus on rules and regulations. To overcome obstacles, we must understand our core priorities and fears. For a red, a setback is anything that slows the process or results in not winning, driven by a fear of losing control. Yellows feel setbacks when they are ignored or socially excluded, fearing a loss of prestige. Greens view sudden, unannounced changes or peer conflict as major setbacks, fearing confrontation. Finally, blues see deviations from the perfect plan as setbacks, fearing they might make a fool of themselves. Success requires adaptation. Under pressure, reds dictate conditions, but they must learn to adapt their pace and accept that nobody succeeds alone. Yellows often attack with irony, but they must learn to follow the plan and maintain structure. Greens tend to back down, but they must dare to step out of their comfort zone and express clear opinions early. Blues often withdraw, but they must drop the illusion of perfection and accept that good enough is required to move forward. When we end up in a ditch, it's rarely due to a single excuse. It's usually a combination of 8 factors. These include having no why, lacking a foundational reason, setting vague goals, or trying to change too much at once. We also fail because results are initially invisible, we lack persistence, or we underestimate old habits. Finally, surrounding ourselves with the wrong people or simply drifting off course allows tiny distractions to pull us away from success over time. Failure is rarely a sudden explosion. It is usually a slow, silent drift back to Laterville. Consider a pilot flying from Miami to New York. If the instruments are just 1 degree off, the plane lands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean instead. You don't have to do anything terribly wrong to fail. You simply have to stop paying attention. Long-term success requires a system that constantly checks your coordinates, like the red X calendar method, and corrects your course the moment you drift. We must distinguish between the right task and the right way. The ultimate trap is becoming highly efficient at things that do not matter, doing the wrong task in the right way. This is a time thief. The second best scenario is doing the right task in the wrong way, as you can always improve your method later. The ultimate goal is doing the right task in the right way, which lands you in the top 3% of your field. Most people view success as a straight staircase leading to a final destination. However, this is a trap. If you reach the top and stop doing the things that got you there, passion, work, focus, you won't stay there. The reality is that in our world, stopping is the same as rolling backward. Erikson famously states, "You do not own success, you rent it, and rent is due every day." Success requires continuous effort and staying power to maintain your position. Finally, we see the framework for success. It is not a destination, but an ongoing cycle that must be fed. This cycle involves passion, work, focus, energy, ideas, improvement, value, and staying power. To avoid setbacks and maintain momentum, you must demand hard work and sharp focus of yourself every single day. Like a rocket leaving Earth's orbit, it requires immense fuel to break gravity, and while it takes less fuel to maintain speed in space, you can never turn the engines off completely.